if you don't mind me saying so, I think this was a pretty funny review. Sorry. Warm greetings, Code Monkeys and fellow Vedsies. Welcome back to CodedLockFilms, and welcome back to VEDS. I believe this will be day 8 when it goes up. Yes, day 8. I love that intro, by the way. It took me a while to figure out how I wanted to do the Disney Ripoff collection intro, and I thought that was a pretty funny way to do it. That is actually me playing a kazoo. I've got that kazoo right here, actually. I had to go out and I had to buy a kazoo to make that intro. I played that kazoo pretty poorly, which is what I was going for. And I am pretty pleased with how poorly I played that kazoo. But anyway, I liked doing this review. I thought this review was a lot of fun. I was afraid, after watching The Little Mermaid thing, that the Disney Ripoff collection was going to be just a series of videos about these movies that were... Again, I was talking about this a little bit in my last commentary that I did, but on the Fantastic Four review. But I was worried that all of the Disney Ripoff collection movies were going to be as boring and as uninteresting to talk about as The Little Mermaid was. Because The Little Mermaid Disney Ripoff collection review, I don't think that's one of my better reviews. Because there was almost nothing to say about that movie. It was bad in really unentertaining and uninteresting ways. And it was really hard to get through that review. There were a few funny moments from that movie. In fact, there were 2. And I showed you both of them at the end of that review. There was the one where the prince and his manservant, I guess, what was his name? Cosgrove, I think. Yeah, Cosgrove. Were drowning and, like, trying to save each other and, like, we're in this together. And it was so melodramatic, and that was really funny. And, of course, there was the, away, sky creatures, away! I think that clip is really funny. That's easily the best thing to come out of that review, but I don't think that was a particularly enjoyable... These jokes, by the way, the ones where I do the little image thing, most of those are improv. I don't plan most of those ahead. You may be wondering how I can improv something in a review, because it's not like I'm doing these reviews live. But basically, where those came from was there were a couple of times where I felt like maybe a bit of exposition was getting dry, or like maybe there was like some kind of like a video clip where you needed to see the full video clip. But it does run a bit it does feel a bit slow when you have to listen to a full video clip. And so I would put little visual gags in there that would, like, gags without any sort of audio. But that were just funny little things to watch that would kind of spice up the longer video clips. Like the handsome prince to take your heart away thing, that was something I improv'd in the editing when I felt that was running a little bit long. The la-las that appear on the screen, those were actually put in kind of as a clarification, because I wasn't sure if it would read correctly what it was that I was talking about in the clip immediately following the backup singers coming in. So I put the la-las in there. And, what else? Oh, yeah, the speak, my son thing that comes up later in this review. That was another thing that was improv'd in the editing process, just because I felt like that clip was a little bit dry. Sometimes you just have to get a little bit of exposition out of the way. Most of the time, it's easier to summarize the exposition rather than just show it to you, but in some cases it is a little bit more expedient to just show you the scene. And in that case, that was the case, but that scene was running a bit long and feeling a little bit dry. So I put the speak, my son thing in there just as a way to kind of spice it up. And I'm glad that people seem to be enjoying those, because I think that's a pretty good way of sorry, excuse me. I think those are a pretty good way of spicing up an otherwise fairly dry clip. And And I like being able to do this, and I'm glad that people seem to enjoy those ones so much. I actually said that someone, I can't remember if it was about the Away Sky Creatures or the Speak My Shun thing, said they wanted a poster of that quote. And I don't know, maybe if I get to the point where I have, a little bit more in the way of followers and, can, have it be a little bit more worth it to, sell some kind of merchandise. That's not worth it, and it's not feasible at my current level of recognition. I have like 1,050 subscribers or something like that right now, which is cool. I actually did hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, which is awesome. I like entertaining people, and I like it when more and more people are entertained by my stuff. Yeah, maybe eventually you'll see posters of that kind of thing, but certainly not for the time being. But anyway, what I was saying at the beginning of this commentary is that this movie was a lot more entertaining and a lot more fun to make fun of, especially with the fairy godmother. Because there was something that was so generic and saccharine about her sweetness in this movie that when I saw the way she was acting, it made me more suspicious than it did anything else, and so I decided to make her into this really demented character who's like, rather than just this sweet little fairy godmother, is actually just this demonic creature who, for whatever reason, has taken a personal interest in Cinderella. And it was pretty entertaining. And I'm glad that a lot of people did seem to like this one. I really do try, on as many occasions as I can, to include as much analysis of these movies as I possibly can. Like with Mulan 2. I think Mulan 2 was pretty much perfect in terms of it's certainly not a perfect review overall, but it was, I think, a perfect balance between analysis and more jokey humor type stuff. And I like doing both of those things a lot, and I want to hit a good balance, but sometimes you're really just there to make fun of a movie. With Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, that was the case. Like, with movies where you're watching it and, like, everybody who's watching that review kind of understands that what we're here for in this case is just to have some fun at the expense of this lame little movie. Uh, I think it's okay to not have as much analysis. I do have some analysis in this movie. Like, I talk about, how I think that this movie does actually do some things right, even though overall it is definitely really goofy, and it's not a great film, but it's a really, really entertaining one. I honestly think that adults would find this movie entertaining more so than children for the most part. By the way, the fat stepsister's hair. I didn't mention this in the review, but the size of her hair in this movie is ridiculously inconsistent. Like, sometimes her hair is like twice the size of her head, sometimes it's the same size, and I don't know what the deal with that is. That's actually one of my girlfriend's pet peeves. My girlfriend Maddie, one of her pet peeves is when the length or size of somebody's hair changes wildly throughout a movie. The movie Anastasia is a good example of that. She talks about where the the length of Anastasia's hair goes from like just above shoulder length to like halfway down her back in the span of like one scene. And I always find that amusing when that happens. The jokes with the fat stepsister. I had a hard time for a little while thinking of how I was gonna make that funny, because it always bothers me. By the way, I don't know why the stepmother doesn't have any ears. They never show her ears in this movie. She does not have ears. I don't know where they went. And it's not like, like her hair is not like coming down over her ears. Because you can see her hair is right up against her head when they show her face like centered from the front. She just doesn't have ears for some reason. It's not like with the fat stepsister, where she does have ears, but they're just covered up mostly or entirely by her hair, because her hair actually does come out from the sides of her head quite a bit. The stepmother just flat out does not have... Yeah, see? She's got ears there. But the stepmother just flat out does not have ears. I don't know what the deal with that is. I don't know why she doesn't have ears. But, I had a hard time for a little while figuring out how I was gonna make fun of the like all the stuff going on with the fat stepsister, because she really is just that one joke. Every joke surrounding her is that she's the fat one, tee hee, and I really don't like that kind of humor. I'm not big on the type of humor where I won't say that, fat, like humor involving fat people can never be funny, like Chris Farley. It was, that Chris Farley is fat humor done right, because he was really good at physical comedy, and the humor in Chris Farley's, like any fat humor that came from Chris Farley was, you can see she has earrings dangling from nothing right there, just dangling from her hair. She does not have ears. Anyway, sorry, I'll stop harping on that. Chris Farley is fat humor done right. Where the humor comes from this person being able to move around in ways that you would not expect a person of his size to be able to do, and he was just really talented at physical comedy. But you can't just have your only joke be, look at this fat person, aren't they fat? Now laugh, you sheep. Like, that just does not work for me, and I think it doesn't work for a lot of people. And it's just, I have a real problem with that kind of humor, but I didn't really want to... I was originally kind of thinking I would go into a little rant on that, but when I was, in the writing process, I found that it was kind of stopping the review dead when I was going on this rant. And it was this really, really angry, negative thing in an otherwise entirely just humor-based review, and it just wasn't flowing right. But I still wanted to make a point that this type of humor is really stupid. So I ended up going with this approach where I... instead I made fun of the way they were making fun of her, which is, like with the stuff like, inhaling that piece of chicken, you're like, fat people eat shitloads of chicken, right? That kind of thing. And and I think that worked out for the best. This was, that was pretty much the only writing challenge I had in this review. The Little Mermaid review was very difficult to write because it was very difficult to make that review fun to watch. This one, easy peasy. I really could have written this one in my sleep. This one was really an easy one to make a pretty entertaining review out of. But a lot of people seem to think this one was really, really funny, and I'm glad, because I just wanted this one just to be about having some fun, and I think this was a pretty fun review, in pretty much all regards. It had, like I said, there was little bits of analysis in there, but mostly I'm just having fun with this one, and I hope that the rest of the Disney ripoff collections are mostly like this, where they are fun to make fun of, rather than just that really boring kind of bad. I'm hoping that I am hoping that the Little Mermaid Disney ripoff was more of an exception than the rule. You know what I mean? Excuse me, I just had to take a drink. My mouth is really, really dry because I ran out of allergy medication a couple days ago, and I haven't had a chance to go get some. So, this song, I wish I could have made it flow. I wish I could have shown you a little bit more of this song. It was, again, one of those things where it would have kind of killed the flow of the review if I were to have showed you more of this song. That Academy Award for Best Picture thing, I think, was another one where I kind of threw in a text joke to make to keep the momentum going. The humor in this one relied very much upon momentum. yeah, it relied. The humor in this relied upon the humor being fairly quick and the humor moving pretty quickly. Because if I spent any time kind of pausing too much for that, then I would be kind of dead in the water. And so I couldn't show you that entire song. And I wish I could have, because it really is a funny song. It's just that the flow of that song was not working in the context of the review overall. So, what else? Oh, in regards to my opinion on this being, on me liking this movie better than I like the Disney version. I stand by that. I do like this movie better than I like the Disney version. Do I think that means it's a better movie than the Disney version? No. No, I do not. I think that the Disney version is definitely a better movie. I think it. I think it does I think it does a better job of telling a story. I think I mean, it's clearly got better animation. The music in it is objectively better than the music in this movie. That's all basically true. However, I still like this movie more than I liked the Disney version. For me, liking a movie basically comes down to how much I enjoy watching that movie as I sit through it. Cinderella, Disney's Cinderella, is a movie that I do not really enjoy because it's just kind of boring to me. Disney's Cinderella bores me because I am, whenever I watch that movie, I am not invested in the character of Cinderella, and that movie depends upon you being invested in her character, and I'm just not. When I watch that movie, I'm not interested in Cinderella's character, I'm not invested, so I don't care about what's going on. Now, I don't care about Cinderella's character in this movie either, don't get me wrong, but this movie does not make or break on your level of investment in Cinderella. Because there are other things to redeem this movie. Like, you can enjoy this movie without caring about Cinderella because it is really goofy and it's really poorly put together. So, whereas with Disney Cinderella, I don't think you can really do that so much. You kind of have to be invested at least a little bit in Cinderella's character to enjoy that movie. And I'm not saying you're wrong if you're invested in Cinderella's character. I'm just saying that she does not interest me. And that's just me personally. Is really all I'm trying to say. She doesn't interest me. She's not what I look for in a protagonist. She I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of time to really get into that with this movie, with the time I have left in this review, but I do. So I just want to clarify that real quick. I do like this movie. I enjoy sitting through this movie more than I enjoy sitting through Disney's Cinderella. But I do think that Disney's Cinderella is an objectively better movie. Absolutely, it is clearly a better movie. I just don't happen to enjoy it as much as I did this movie. It's and that's really all it comes down to. If I had the choice between sitting through Disney's Cinderella and sitting through this movie, I would watch this movie because this movie is fun to watch and make fun of, and that is a big part of how I enjoy movies. Not all movies. There are certainly some movies that I sit through, like that I watch entirely seriously and don't make fun of, like, Forrest Gump, good example. There are movies that I like in that regard, and movies that I sit through, not to make fun of them, but to enjoy them genuinely. But this was one of those movies where I was just, I sit through it to make fun of it, and I enjoyed the hell out of it in that regard. So, that's pretty much it for this commentary. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I thought this was, again, I thought this was a pretty funny review, and a lot of other people seem to as well. I am glad that you all enjoyed this review a lot, because I enjoyed making it a lot, and I think it came out really well. So, I think that'll be all for this commentary, and yeah, so until next time, I'm not sure which one of these I'm going to do next. I'll let you know when I know. So until next time, co-monkeys and fellow Vedsies, I will see you later.